Middays Discourse is coming your way live from Global TV, right here in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Middays Discourse is a platform where we bring to board issues concerning the development and economic of the country. On today's edition of the program, we'll be looking at one institution in Nigeria's capital city that is leading others. We're talking about the BAZE University, established in 2021, but has made tremendous record as far as education is concerned. We are told that all those road leads tomorrow to BAZE University's convocation. And with me to take a look at this and discuss the possibility of having one of the best convocations in the country, talking about the BAZE University, I have the privilege of hosting, talking about Professor Abiodun Adeniyi is here with us in the studio. He will be giving us highlights on the various aspect of the school and why we are meeting tomorrow. Professor, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. And if you let me, it was established actually in 2011.
2011?
Yes.
That's great. 2011. And 2011. Okay, so let's look at 2011 to 2023.
Yeah.
So much has happened in the school.
Yeah, so much indeed. And of course, everything has been compliant with the vision, mission, and the cardinal objective of the Pro-Chancellor and founder, distinguished Senator Yusuf Dati Babar Ahmed, himself a scholar, who was inspired, by the laxities, the inadequacies in Nigeria's tertiary educational system, and he thought of coming into it, as an investor, somebody who you could call a very good risk taker. He took that risk, plunged into tertiary education through the university, consequent upon a license by the NUC. And of course, he's been very innovative, and he has kept the focus, he has kept the dream, and that's where we are now, about to have our 10th convocation ceremony.
The school is wearing the best of its color as far as tomorrow's event is concerned. That will be the 10th anniversary. Tell us which
10th convocation.
Which department you think the school is making the school proud as we speak?
That was very, very difficult to tell. All departments are very vibrant. All departments are robust. I can tell you, it's a university that I've been in for more than a decade, and I know it very well in terms of the care they take with recruitment, in the admission of students, and of course in the provision of the right and conducive environment so that learning could thrive. So all departments are top notch. All faculties above average, and of course we have the Faculty of Law, where we have undergraduate and postgraduate studies. We have a new College of Medicine also coming up very strongly. Do not forget that we have one of the largest private hospitals in Africa by land mass, and it's supposed to service the BAZE College of Medicine on the longer run. Of course, we have the Faculty of Arts and Social Management and Social Sciences with a lot of social science disciplines, mass communication, my forte, political science, international studies, public administration, accounting, etc. And then what about global security studies? All of them, up to master's and PhD levels, So we've covered all that we need to cover. We also have engineering, and we have Faculty of Environmental Sciences too, where we have a vibrant Department of Architecture and all other related courses in that faculty. Faculty of Engineering is thriving. Computing is also thriving. You can actually not let down any of the faculties, as the case could be, because, like I said, care has been taken to evolve them, and care is also taken, to sustain and maintain them, compliant with the prescriptions of NUC, and of course, in compliance with international best education practices.
In achieving all this, you are working closely with the Nigeria University Commission. I understand that there are so many universities in the country where some certain department or courses are not accredited. In BAZE University, do you have such challenges?
No,
are all your courses duly accredited?
All courses in BAZE University are duly accredited. And of course, if there are anyone that has not been accredited, you can be sure that it will not be mounted in the first place. Before a university mounts a course, it has to go through approval. And that approval is superintended by the National Universities Commission. Of course, they are there, superintending over all universities in Nigeria. You are required to have their license, and of course, that license process or the accreditation process comes where they send, experts, professors, specialists in the field to come and see your resources, the facilities you have, whether or not it's good enough, to enable students gain knowledge, to enable professors, lecturers, and teachers impart knowledge, and whether or not your library holdings are salutary, whether or not you have enough facilities like classrooms, tables, chairs, etc., etc. Do not forget we are also in a world, of communication revolution where virtual learning has become really sophisticated, and your online resources also matter. And of course, it's one of those things that NUC countenances. All those things, of course, you can find them aplenty in BAZE University, and that's why I'm saying that without being modest, it's most definitely a foremost private university in Nigeria.
Midday Discourse on Global TV coming away live from Nigeria's capital city. We are looking at education. Of course, the BAZE University is the university we are showcasing today because all road leads to the university tomorrow, because it will be another great moment for their convocation. Now, let's look at the long list of students that will be celebrating tomorrow. How many departments are really affected in this great achievement?
All departments are actually graduating students, both at the undergraduate and master's degree level. For PhD, we began January this year. Before you have students graduating, you'd be talking about the tail end of 2025, But those who will be graduating tomorrow comprise of about 300 and something undergraduates, and about close to the same number at the postgraduate level, master's degree levels. And you know what it means, for us to pass on students as being qualified for graduation. It means they have spent between a minimum of 3 years in the school, average of 8 semesters, and for masters, minimum of 2 years, average of 4 semesters, some of them, if they are smart enough, 3 semesters. But of course, what is more important is that the content, prescribed by NUC, the curriculum outlined by NUC has to be painstakingly followed, and when you follow it religiously, and of course there's an examination process, all these things happen in stages before the final one, and once a student is found to have satisfied all conditions, not just in learning, but also in character, like we know the world over, then you are ready to get the student graduated.
Professor Bioden, what is keeping BAZE University above other universities? I've met one of your lecturers who told me that students, instead of leaving the country, students are leaving the country, coming back to attend BAZE University.
Excellent
What
question.
is keeping the flag flying?
Actually, if you know the owner very well, the founder, distinguished Senator Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, is a stickler for excellence. If you want, you can call him a perfectionist. From the environment of the school to the structures on ground, to the personnel that he recruits, is always very painstaking. And he's that kind of person who does not suffer fools gladly, neither does he want you to be singing his praises unnecessarily. He does not like sycophancy. All he's concerned about is merit, quality delivery of services for which you are remunerated. I don't know if this is important. He also encourages workers, encouraging you, yes, by making sure that, your salary, that the time is not wasted in paying you your due remuneration. I can tell you again, without being modest, but this is up for checking, that it remains one of the universities that pay almost the same time as the best public service agency is paying in this country. By the 25 people are already earning their salaries, and of course requisite allowances are also given. So when you work in that kind of environment, you are naturally encouraged, and when you are encouraged, of course, you put in your best. And when when individuals are putting in their best, there's going to be accumulation, and what you find at the end of the day is excellence around the university. And of course, this is not just saying it. These things are verifiable. The university is just there for us to see. And sometimes people say it's the advantage of location. I said no. If you have the advantage of location, then the quality is poor. The facilities are poor. The environment is not conducive. Utilities are not there. Then there's a problem. Because we know that for us to have a suitable, thriving educational environment, there's basic things that we need: environment, facilities, utilities. So to encourage, knowledge production, the creation of knowledge impartation, and knowledge sharing, as the case could be.
Professor Beauty, let's look at your classroom. When you started, the issue of ICT was given priority. But as a country, one challenge is how to maintain standard. How are your classes as we speak today as compared to when you started with? How much ICT do you still have?
Now, let me tell you, when I got to BAZE as a new lecturer, I was imagining, I schooled in ABU, then my other degrees, I got it in England. They would be starting from BAZE. I was sort of pleasantly surprised to see a private university looking like the university I left behind in England, because the classrooms are well air conditioned, the seats are comfortable, and there are smart boards all over. And the smart boards are constantly being upgraded, to newer models as they come. For what I can see, I do know that millions of naira or even dollars, if you want, are being invested into these from time to time, to comply with changing realities or changing technologies of communication or technologies of teaching, as the case could be. Then what about the kind of networking that we do with global networks, providing educational services like Google Classroom, like EcoHost, and all other things that we subscribe to. These things cost millions of dollars. And of course, beyond AUC saying that we should have them, we often go beyond it. And that's why sometimes we could do a lot of things online. We are able to replicate live teaching and learning online as much as we can do it offline.
You talk about teaching online. Let's look at the AI. It seems to be making headlines in the country. How close is BAZE University for start using such facilities?
Well, you can be very sure that being a leading ICT-driven university, we're IT-driven, actually. Just everything that we can do offline, we're also supposed to do it. We can also do it online because of our subscription to many of these programs, and because one basic training that our lecturers are supposed to have is to be IT compliant. If you are not, you are shown the exit. And of course, you are not going to even have an entry without having that basic exposure. But so you can take it for granted that we're going to cope with new developments in communication. You've just mentioned artificial intelligence. Of course, we know we're in the world of hypertext technology, the world of the Internet of Things. Artificial intelligence. We cannot joke with it. We understand the nuances of of contracting our intelligence to robots. We know the limitations. We also know the strengths, and of course, some of these courses are being taught in our computer department. Of course, beyond the teaching, even secular staff who are not ordinarily grounded in those areas are constantly being introduced to it through weekly training managed by Deputy Vice Chancellor, IT and Innovation. So we are largely innovative, largely foresighted, and again, we have to say all thanks to God Almighty, and most importantly, all thanks, and importantly as well, all thanks, to the Pro-Chancellor and Founder, distinguished Senator Yusuf Dachi Ahmed.
My guest on the program, the Discourse on Global TV this beautiful afternoon is Professor Abiodun Adeniyi of the BAZE University here in the Federal Capital Territory. We'll be taking our first break, but before we go, Prof, what does it take a student to be enrolled in your school?
Well, it's not different from what it takes for other universities. Of course, you have to have the requisite qualification,
which includes
prescribed by JAM, depending on what you want to study, Maths and English inclusive for all courses. And if you don't have them, you are required to have them before being admitted, largely. And of course, IGMB is also there. We comply with prescriptions as laid down by JAMB, by NUC, and we hardly can compromise, realizing that all these things are often checked by NUC, and they constantly visit. For every program that is wanted, NUC they do accreditation visit once in 5 years for every program. That's if you pass. But if you don't pass, it's going to be once in 2 years. It's a continuous thing, and compliance is just compulsory.
We will take a break. When we come back, we'll be looking at if students from BAZE University can compare favorably with their counterparts out of the country and, of course, within the country. My guest is Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, right here on Global TV. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will continue with our discussion, taking a look at the BAZE University convocation coming up in less than 24 hours from now. Please don't go away. Glad to have you back. If you are joining us, this is Midday Discourse, a program where we take a look at happenings in the country and out of the country. Today we are looking at education in Nigeria's capital city, and we are glad to let you know that BAZE University will be beating its drum tomorrow, where more than 500 students will be celebrating, and it is a moment for you to have a clear picture of what it takes to be there. To give us answer to this and many more, we have the privilege of hosting Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, who is here with us live in the studio, telling us why the school is still rated #1. But a question I have for him is, let's look at this. Now, students who finish from your school, can you tell us where they are right now? And can they compare academically with other schools in the country?
Oh, most definitely. And the evidence is just very clear. Most students who finish, some of them often go for postgraduate studies abroad. And of course, when they go abroad, and they tell you they return with distinction. What meaning does it mean? I told you I've been there for more than 10 years. Several of my students, at least 5 of them, went to universities abroad. And of course, they returned, a few of them returned to tell me that they have distinction. And not just telling me there is evidence, they are showing you the result, and they are thanking you for the kind of pedagogy that you took them through. How more encouraging can a lecturer can a lecturer be? When you see that kind of thing, not just my own, I'm not talking about my own case, there are several other cases, and some of them going into industry, going into federal government agencies, ministries, departments, and agencies, some of them going into the private sector, some of them becoming entrepreneurs and doing well, and coming back, maybe to mentor, or coming back to returning as lecturers themselves, or coming back to say that because of the kind of training they went through, because of the environment, they want to do their postgraduate. I'm in the postgraduate school. I've registered quite a number of them for master's program, and of course for PhD program. And I think one thing also going for BAZE is because of the exposure, the experiences of the founder. Do not forget, he had his first and second degrees from University of Maiduguri, and from there he went abroad, Cardiff. He went to Cardiff. He was also in the University of Westminster for his master's, MBA, and PhD, as the case could be. So you could see this global exposure. And do not forget, he's a businessman of global repute, So he's got that exposure, and, that cosmopolitan characteristics, has somewhat impacted on what we are having. But you see, sometimes you can have some of this kind of exposure without being able to transfer it, to make it reflect at a project that you have in hand. But that's not his case. He can be hands-on if he wants to be hands-on. And of course, he's very respectful of his staff. Very respectful, he's hardly bossy. All he needs to do is to just do your job. And of course, if you deliver very well, it's often one of commendation and reward. And of course, the natural remuneration will come. I'm not one of the oldest staff. I do know. I've just spent barely a decade there, but I know people who have been there from inception, and they have no reason to go elsewhere because, like they say in Yoruba, what you're going to look for in Sokoto is there in Sokoto. So why becoming itinerant?
What you want in Sokoto is here. Let's look at how affordable it is, because in our local parlors they say better soup na money killer. So let's look at what does it take in terms of finances. Is your school quite expensive?
There's no university, there's no reason really. Sometimes I argue that it's not probably right to place to look at the education in terms of cost. Okay. There's no amount of money that you can spend on education that you say is too much, because if you're well educated, imagine you now, a presenter. Of course, if you are not educated, you won't be sitting here. If you are not skilled, you won't be sitting here and talking to me. Nobody can take that away from you. That's something that is organic with you. It has become organic. It's become ingrained. Something that remains a legacy, a long-lasting legacy. Something you can hardly describe as a tangible. You cannot feel it. It's an intangible.
Professor,
you probably cannot estimate it.
Yeah. Can an average Nigerian gain admission in your school?
Why not? It's just about planning. An average, we have many lecturers that have students in the school, and they are on salary. So everything is just about planning. And the university is not also very difficult in terms of a payment plan. Nobody is asking you to pay everything at once. You graduate it. And if you graduate it upon plan, sometimes scholarship are even also given. So if you plan, of course, you can afford it. There's nothing you and I cannot afford. It just depends on how we manage our resources.
So you also do some social activities that enhance...
of course. We have a vibrant student union.
Okay.
And the students, of course, you need to just go to the university during the evenings, and most particularly at the weekends, and see how they enjoy themselves, how they ventilate, and you find how free they are. It's a university that has students drawn from all sections of the country, across different religions, across different cultures, and across different worldviews. You can see the way they ventilate, the way they interact, and it can be very inspiring. As a mature person, seeing them, will trigger memories in you, memories of when you were at their age, and when you were doing things they are doing. But at the same time, the university is also concerned about discipline, and we do not take this for granted, And when students go beyond bonds, they are properly sanctioned, because our training is not just about learning, it's also about character. Remember also where we offer pastoral role, and we are sort of foster parents, and their parents have entrusted them into our hands, and our responsibility is not just to teach them theories, and precepts and examples and all that. Their manners matter too. And if it is outrageous, of course, they will be called to question, and sometimes sanctions, stiff sanctions are meted, including expulsion. But of course, before this happens, they will have been taken through a process of investigation. So discipline is on hand, irrespective of the academic freedom that they enjoy, in the university system.
So have the student ever attempt strike? Has there been any reason why such an ugly experience?
From my experience, I cannot remember clearly anything that looks like a strike, but of course, one or two things may agitate any group of people. If you understand crowd psychology, they can be very fickle-minded, somewhat fickle-minded. They can be triggered, by little things. Sometimes, because of the safety in numbers. Sometimes because of the emotions, that you can hide through numbers. I've had one or two instances where there was a general national failure in power. You understand? And it affected the university. So students thought perhaps it was caused by the university. But when they discovered it, of course, they all had peace. But most importantly, again, you need to come to the university and see the huge investment in independent power supply. The huge investment in general. Just maybe you need to visit and see each around. Most of the time, even when the national electricity network fails, the generators are there to serve us.
Now, let's look at the size of the school today. Yeah. What is the size of the BAZE University in terms of student enrollment?
I wish I knew you were going to ask me this, but I do know that at a time it was about, for a very long time, in the early stages, it was hovering between 1,000 and 300. But if you ask me to make a guess now, I think we are close to about 5 to 7,000. This is just a loose, I'm not too sure, but it should be about 5 to 7,000. So you can see a meteoric increase. And how am I making this conclusion? I'm making it because I see how facilities, how the increased pressure on facilities, parking spaces, lecture rooms, etc., etc. But of course, you can trust the management too, through the instrumentality of the funder, to respond. There's no time you come to BAZE University that you not see ongoing construction. There's no time that you will not see ongoing construction. And those constructions are coming as a way of meeting the increasing needs, that is arising. Offices are being built, laboratories are being built, classrooms are being built, a multi-billion naira hospital has just been concluded. Equipments are being shipped into the country almost on an everyday basis. Even though I'm not part of the decision-making process at this level, but I can see facilities, I can see utilities, I can see them being delivered. I'm also involved in the use of these facilities. Many of them new. So it's more than enough for me to hazard an appropriate guess. That. We're making progress to the glory of God.
My guest is Professor Abiodun Adeniyi of BAZE University right here in Nigeria's capital city. I will allow you to take a break because when we come back, we'll be looking at mode of dressing, which is a major challenge to nearly all the universities in the country. When we come back, he will be giving us first-hand information on that right here on Midday Discourse on Global TV, Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Don't go away. We'll be back, and our guest is still with us right here.
Give me one second.
Glad to have you back. If you are just joining us, the program is Midday Discourse. It's coming your way live and direct from Global TV, Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. All road leads to BAZE University tomorrow for their convocation exercise, and Global TV is giving us first-hand information on what is making BAZE University still maintaining the podium as one of the best private institutions in the country. My guest is Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. He's telling us that the school is heading to its promised land. But I want to find out, issue of mode of dressing has been a major challenge in nearly all the universities in the country, with mighty signboards in the entrances of some of these universities, but we don't find that in BAZE University. Tell us how you are coping, and the students are in track, giving us the best in terms of their mode of dressing. Has that ever troubled your school?
Well, first of all, maybe we should put things in context first.
Yeah.
We're in the 21st century of globalization, where people interact at the level of cultures. People behave in different ways, sometimes trying to mimic other people's culture because of interaction, because of cross utilization of materials, and that's why you see some of our young ones, the one they call the Gen Zs, trying to ape and idealize, foreign nationals, Western nationals, the way they dress. And we know some of these things can actually be very offensive, very offensive. We also consider it in some of our cultures, as immoral, indecent, and sometimes even extreme, not very good to the eyes, especially to those who are somewhat traditional, or those who want some level of integrity at the level of moral uprightness, they won't want to see deviations. In our school, we are very concerned, no doubt, coming to the specific of BAZE University, it's outlined there in the student handbook. Once you are registered, you are given the handbook, and if you do not read it, that's your own problem. You can be caught by any of the sections. So students are encouraged to read it. And we also have senior ones, mature lecturers, student affairs officers, who readily apprehend students if they see you walking on the street and obviously improperly dressed, right? If you do something that is obvious to everybody that you are improperly dressed, you are returned to the hostel immediately. And we'll be tied to you if you object. They'll summon your parents immediately, or maybe they'll just ask you. You might be called before a disciplinary panel. But luckily for us, we've had students who are largely compliant. Hardly will you see any students who is objecting. They are largely compliant, so there's hardly any reason for us to wave the big stick.
Are your students all-day students, or do you also have accommodation?
Oh no, we have a mixture of day and boarding students. Huge hostel. There's a huge investment in hostel accommodation in BAZE. About, I don't know how to put it in building or architectural terms, but about 3 huge buildings are there for students. And the last time I asked, I just heard it again that the founder is trying to build another one. So in terms of accommodation, we do not have problem. If you say we have any challenge at all, is the challenge of coping with the explosion with the increase in registration, with the increased needs, demand that we are witnessing. And I think that's why management is responding to it, by thinking about building another one, and when BAZE University is constructing buildings, by the time they start, they do not stop. There's often no interruption until completion. And at the end of the day, you just see that, we're not lacking in terms of our desire to meet the increasing demands, of students, of staff, in every facility, with respect to every facility that you can think about. And do not forget what I said earlier, that it's often a permanent construction site. There's no time you come there that you don't see one structure or the other going up. Apart from new laboratories coming up now, new law offices, new classrooms, and the new senior building is also about to start coming up.
Professor Building, students and parents complain bitterly when their student or their children spend more time in a particular course. In your school, it's quite different. What is keeping you, if it's a 4-year course, it's a 4-year course. What are you making that other university can learn from you?
Okay, this is a very important question. And the question, most of the time when I hear people pass judgment on the basis of ignorance, it's just regret. It triggers regret in me, because before you criticize, you have to have understanding. First, there's a requirement by NUC that you must meet before a student can graduate. It's either, and that requirement for first degree, on the average, it's for you to do 8 semesters. 8 semesters in public universities will go for between 4 years. 4 years direct entry and 3 years indirect entry, right? And that's for public universities. But of course, public universities, if not now that we have a charismatic education minister who is very promising and foresighted, oftentimes we are also always troubled by strike. So when there's a strike, you are starting a course that you're supposed to finish in 4 years. You won't finish it until 6-7 years.
You don't call strike, do you?
No, we don't. I'm coming. I'm building a track to an argument. And so BAZE University came, just like most private universities. Yes. You do not find strike. Courses are seamless. prescriptions of NUC are well met. No content is left untaught. Everything goes neatly. And of course, there was this innovative tri-semester system, that we started with, which means that instead of 2 semesters in a year, we could do 3 semesters in a year, depending on your ability. But again, it was moderated, because of pressure and some levels of unsalutary controversies, that, okay, let's have the regular 2 semesters in a year, while we have a third one, which is optional. But students may decide to say, okay, they want to do the 3 semesters in a year. So if you do the 3 semesters in a year, it means you are doing all the semesters required by NUC that public universities are running, not in 4 years that public universities do it, but you are doing it in 3 years in BAZE University, courtesy of the tri-semester system, and because you are taking advantage of the optional 1 semester that is available, in spite of the 2 semesters that is compulsory in a year. So it's a system thing. Now, this thing are differentiated across the world. If you go to the United States of America, a trimester system, is ingrained in different ways. And that's why somebody can go to the US, go to university in the US. In 2 years, he'll pick a degree. Have you not had it? In the UK, if you go to Birmingham, in 2 years, my university, University of Leeds, 2 years, you pick a degree in law. Does it make it less qualitative? What matters is the content. Were you able to go through all the courses prescribed by the regulatory agency within the period available? If you have been able, then fantastic. But if you have not been able to do that, then of course you have to do it before you graduate. I've just told you we're graduating about 600 and something students. There are so many other students that were not qualified for graduation. Okay. I personally signed many students out who were not qualified because they have not met the requirements, right? So on any ground, it's not about on any ground they didn't meet it. So of course they have to remain for another 1 or 2 semesters until they are qualified for graduation, because we have to be concerned about our integrity, our credibility, which many of us will not want to compromise, because we know where we're coming from, we know our background, we know how we got to where we are, and we know the expectations of the owner and founder of the university. We know it's a stickler for excellence. Somebody who will not want you to cut corner, to favor anybody. He doesn't even participate in the running of the university. Hardly does he participate, because you hardly will even see him. Yeah, you can take this from me. You hardly will see him. Everything is done remotely, because management is in charge. And they are, of course, I'm not a judge, because many of them are my bosses. But if you ask them, he will say that, yes, they are doing their job well. That's why he's keeping them there.
All road leads to BAZE University. Yeah. Tell us how colorful the environment will look tomorrow.
Oh, it's already very colorful. Okay. If you go there, you will know that something is amiss. You know that, like the Yorubas will say, Gongwaso Kutupuahu, which means that, the bands, the drums will be rolled out, the bands will be beating, there will be merrymaking, there will be eating, drinking, awards, dances, etc. Photography, of course, you'll find it aplenty as well, typical of what you expect at such events.
If the invitation hasn't come to you right now, all you need to do is to stay close to Global TV, because we'll be there live and bringing you bits of the happening at the BAZE University convocation, which is coming up tomorrow. Of course, Global TV will be transmitting the event live at the venue. Let's take another break. When we come back, we'll be looking at what it takes, the feelings from the parents whose children will be graduating tomorrow, how joyful it will look like. Let's take a break. My guest is Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. He's still here with us, and when we come back, he'll be giving us an exit. Let's take a break. Glad to have you on the program Midday Discourse, coming away live and direct from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja Global TV, taking a look at the BAZE University convocation. It's coming up tomorrow, and we felt it was right for you to have first-hand information of what BAZE University is, and to find answers to this is Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, who is here with us to give us first-hand of BAZE University. Now, Prof, let me put it to you. What is the identity of a BAZE University student? If I find such a student in Bega or in Area 1, what tells me this is a product of BAZE University?
Okay, excellent question again. If you see a typical BAZE University student, you are seeing a growing up young person on the average who is obeying, who is savvy, who is smart, who holds a lot of promise.
What type of hairstyle should such a student be carrying from your school?
Oh, most of them are modestly dressed, modest appearance. A majority of them, modest appearances. When I mean modest, I'm talking about decent appearance. Yes, and of course, decency can be understood within different brackets. It could be in the English variant, it could also be in the Christian variant or in the Islamic variant. It just depends on the kind of decency, modesty, that we're talking about. And it depends on our own worldview, individual worldview, how you understand dressing to be. I'm here with you now wearing these. I don't have a cap. Some other persons may think that until I wear a cap because I'm complete, but I find this okay, but it's just about understanding, it's about preference. But at least you didn't reject me on account of me coming here without a cap because you consider it probably salutary. So it's a relative thing. It's about understanding and what you want to appreciate and what you do not want to appreciate. And again, upbringing matters, culture matters, religion matters. The patterns that you have been used to over the years can influence, how you want to appear. But what we often underscore is for you to be decent, look modest, look serious-minded and disciplined. Do not wear or come out in suggestive appearances, that people will rather disregard you rather than respect you. If you appear before somebody, you want to be respected. Do not put up appearances that will make you disrespectable. And in terms of delivery, in terms of pronouncement, in terms of interaction, training, on the strength of our training, we expect students to be above average, to be cultured, to be mannered, to have understanding of the environment around them, and to be able to manipulate the environment, not manipulating in the mischievous way, but manipulating it, understanding it, adapting to it in a way that they can be change agents, people who harbingers of social change, social progress, social reform, and that's one of the reasons for education. Aside from building in them confidence, exposing their mind such that they will have understanding, and of course move far away, from primitivism into the world of civilization, where they will make impacts not just on themselves but on the society that they find themselves.
Now, let's look at the faculties you have that makes BAZE quite unique compared to other private schools and the public schools.
Yeah, I think our strength really lies in our creativity. The fact that we can be very innovative in terms of program development, in terms of course development, and in terms of teaching pattern. Our teaching pattern is multivariate. We teach in the classroom, physical teaching, and we can continue, if we like, in the virtual space. Maybe tutorials, students are encouraged to ask questions on the go, and that can be 24 hours. So you can be in the middle of the night. Sometimes I'm 12 o'clock in my house, a student is sending message to me on Google Classroom, and I'm responding. So it's a 24-hour circle. And when you have that kind of arrangement, that students are easily learning on the go, which means that forgetfulness will not be there a lot. Memories are stimulated, and of course, remembrance is engendered as well. Those are the hallmarks of quality learning, and it's gratifying to see us exemplifying it at BAZE University.
Now, let me ask you the 1 million naira question. Handouts. Most teachers, lecturers produce handout, and students are compelled to buy this handout. Do you have such in BAZE University?
You're on your way out in BAZE University if you try that.
If a lecturer sells an handout,
You're on your way out. Quote me.
Do they even produce for such purpose?
No, you do not. You see, when you are like, it's not here, but I can speak for because I know it, you know. I remember those days when I joined BAZE, he said, look, we are not just paying you a take-home pay. We are paying you a living wage, right? Of course, we need more. We always need more money. Money is never enough for everybody. But I can tell you that we earn more than the average Nigerian university lecturer. I'm not saying if you give me more, I will say no. You know, but I'm saying that more than the average, you can't compare with every due respect to them. The salary, we take home living wage of the average professor in BAZE University with the professor in a public school. Sometimes triple. And I'm not exaggerating. The evidence is there. Sometimes 3 times more, depending on experience.
So this is about issues.
So if you are earning that much, you know, your conscience will not let you back on any mischief or any shoddy tale. And of course, why would you do handout? There's Google Classroom. All materials are supposed to be there. You know, why would you want to take advantage of the student? Even when lecturers write books, like this is also verifiable. When you write books,
yes,
you know, just market your book in the normal way. You're not supposed to come to school and compel students to buy your book. If you begin to do that, of course, you know that you are going to run into trouble. You know, remember, it's a private university. The standards are high, and compliance, you know, has to be strict. So if you do not want to comply, of course, you'll be told to ship out. So you respect yourself as well because you're not a child.
The students have a voice in your school?
Oh, of course, they do have a voice. Everywhere you see students of that kind of character, they have voices, you know. And of course, you have to listen to them. And I'll tell you one thing, Clinton. In the Nigerian public education system, we have a pattern where the lecturer appears to be the master. Master in the sense that, you know, they can be very commanding. They can be very dictatorial. Not in BAZE University. You know, BAZE University, remember at inception, it was patterned after British-style education. In British-style education, where I was privileged to have exposure, you know, we were the masters. The students were the masters. Lecturers were often trying to please us, and they often do not want us to complain at all. Because if we complain, of course, they will come under investigation. Nobody wants that to happen, because you are paid to render a service, and that service you must be seen as rendering. In BAZE University, there's a feedback system. Students are given forms at the end of every semester to assess lecturers. And if you score below a certain percentage, you know what will happen to you? You do, just like they do abroad. So you do not want to compromise your integrity, your credibility, or your anything at all. And if there's a semblance of anything that is amounting to indiscipline, quote me again, you know, sanctions will be meted out. I'm not exaggerating, it's a fact.
We are gradually walking very, very close to our exit, talking about the midday discourse right here on Global TV. We've been talking to Professor Abiodun Adeni of the BAZE University. He has said it all concerning the school. Handout, it's prohibited. And then students are always in the excellent all the time just to give their best. Tomorrow will be a great day. And so we are looking at hoping that it will be as wonderful as planned by the planning committee. You will be hosting an average of 1,000 people tomorrow, including the student and the parents.
Yeah, more than it should be about 2,000.
And that will be an hectic tax for the entire school.
No, we have a multiple purpose.
In terms of security protocol.
No, we have an outstanding security arrangement. Okay. Sometimes on this like the police are brought in, but do we even have to bring in the police? You know, we have a very active, efficient, productive security arrangement manned by an experienced, you know, ex-service person. You know. So everything is in place. The colors are already out. The roads have been tagged. You know, some renovations have been done. You know, bright colors all over. You know, it's a moment to really cherish. And you know, such moments are moments for photography. So at the school, we ordinarily not let them down. You know, so that students can have something that they can leave as a legacy. You know, students can also trigger their memories, rekindle memories, you know, of when they were in BAZE. And of course, I continue to remember that ceremony as the final point, of their passage, I'm not sure. I will have to check.
But
out of about 200 students.
But tomorrow will quietly be a wonderful day.
Yeah, it's going to be a memorable day. You are welcome to join us and
thanks
celebration.
Thanks so much for that invitation. I want to say a big thank you to Professor Biodun Adeniyi from the university, BAZE University here in Nigeria, postgraduate school, BAZE University. I want to say a very big thank you for finding time to be with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for
having me. We wish you the best of celebration tomorrow. That's the size of today's edition of the program, Midday Discourse on Global TV, coming away from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. And today we took a look at education. Our special focus has been BAZE University, and of course their convocation is coming up tomorrow. Global TV will be transmitting the event live from the beginning to the end. Your last word, what time are we meeting tomorrow?
I think I will advise that those who want to attend should come early.
Okay.
It will start on the dot of 10 o'clock. We do not waste time. We are very religious for time. So we encourage punctuality. What it means is that set out early so that you'll not be caught up in the traffic.
Okay. That's the size of today's edition of the program, Midday Discourse. Special thanks to my producer, Mr. Uyi. Until we come again on another interesting edition of the program, Midday Discourse. Until then, be good and stay out of problem. I am Clinton Agbo saying have a wonderful weekend ahead of you.